up, Trouble Alert Nation? I'm your host, Killer Keemstar. Let's get right into the news. Now, today we have a crazy story all surrounding the YouTuber known as Toby Turner. Toby has 3 channels: Toby Games with almost 7 million subscribers, Tobuscus with 6.3 million, and Toby Turner with 1.9 million. Now, today on Tumblr, a post came from April Elf accusing Toby Turner, Tobuscus, about rape, abuse, drugs, and pretty much everything terrible. Now, the Tumblr post is so long, I was trying to think of the best way to convey this information to our audience, so I got in contact with Mandy from the Drama Alert staff, and she narrated this whole Tumblr post. Now, it's really long, but I'm being told that there's a lot of juicy details in there. I haven't heard it myself. This is the first time I'm going to be hearing the post in its entirety. So here we go. Let's get right into it.
Before I start, I want to say that this is the hardest thing I've ever had to do in my life. I understand that I am setting myself up to be attacked in more ways than has already been done to me. People may accuse me of lying and may try any tactic to protect him because they don't know who he truly is. I will have to take the heat for being the first person to openly come out about this, though I am not the only one who has experienced the abuse from him. There are so many of us. I know of some, I'm friends with some, and I'm without a doubt sure that there are some I don't even know about. It's not my place to tell their story. I can really only tell mine. Throughout the 5 years of knowing him, I have been mentally and physically abused by Toby Turner.
Whew. Okay, part two.
I first met Toby when I was working at E3 in June of 2011. I had flown there from Georgia and he was doing a hosting gig. He added me on Facebook, and as I was returning home, eventually my number. We texted almost daily and FaceTimed with each other. He kept telling me that I should move there and that he needed a female host for his new gaming show. So a month after E3, I had bought a new car and packed my stuff for LA. I didn't know at the time, but that would be one of the many broken promises.
Okay, part 3.
I was writing way too many details when I realized that I have way too many things to tell that happened in 5 years. So I'll cut out the small stuff. I was being cheated on since day one. He would fluctuate between telling me we weren't together to saying we were. Once I started finding the evidence of other women, he would fluctuate between admitting that he was cheating, then to saying that he didn't want anything serious. Every time I would try to leave, he would tempt me with saying he was ready to come out about dating me now. He would say he was just worried about what his fans would say to me and all the hate I would get. But he never cared about that. When he started dating Olga, we were still dating. He told me they weren't real, and it was just for show for subscribers and views. At the beginning, I actually believed that. Then my gut feeling was going off like crazy, and I realized I was just being weak. I stopped seeing him and started seeing someone else. Of course, I kept getting texts that he missed me and that I was the one he wanted. Once I stopped seeing the other guy, we went right back to dating. On and off, just as I now know, was coinciding with Olga and his breakups. Or maybe the breakups were lies, who really knows? I know this makes me look really dumb, but you have to understand how he makes women feel. It felt like a drug. I would try to date other people, and I was so stuck and in love with him that no one ever compared. But I noticed now how I was being manipulated and forced. He thought it was a game to keep going when I said no. He would grab me and tear my pants off, and I would say no and pull them back up, so forcefully that they would tear. I still have my pants folded in the drawer that have ripped belt loops and holes in the crotch from him trying to tear his way in. I even headbutted him once because I was starting to see another guy and did not want to be physical with him. But I was so scared of losing him that I just let him win and have his way with me. He would call me his girlfriend, then if he found out that I told someone I was dating him, he would accuse me of trying to ruin his career and insult me.
Okay, part 4.
2013 was when the drugs really started. I'm not going to get into much detail with that, but this was when the abuse started getting very violent. By this time, I was conditioned to always make sure he was happy. And I had so many panic attacks and anxiety when I was with him because I never wanted to upset him. We were writing most of his parodies and songs together and then fighting when the high would start to fade. Everything was a bipolar mess. There was an incident where we met up for dinner, his classic line, "wanna eat," and he was on drugs, of course. I told him not to park in the 30-minute parking spot. He was immune to all the rules in his mind. I'm a god. So he left it. Our conversation at dinner turned toxic. He said some girl was aborting his baby. I said years ago I had a miscarriage, but would have had it. This caused him to get angry that I would have kept the kid. He called me stupid, a faggot, among other things. FYI, to this day, he still calls me a faggot. He uses that term all the time when he calls me names, even being nice. So I am upset and trying to stand up for myself, but only making it worse. I'm sure I cried at some point. I was always crying. We leave the restaurant and lo and behold, his Range Rover got towed.
Part 5.
He is yelling and mad. We get an Uber and go back to his place. By this time, I'm absolutely terrified, just trying not to make him more upset. He started punching things in the kitchen. He kicks his stove, and I get out of the way as he punches the pantry door. It has a big, giant crack in it. He later covered it with a Chinese New Year calendar and made jokes on vlog saying, "How did this get here?" I'm crying, and he's blaming me for stuff. And then I go and sit down on the beanbag chair he has in his living room. He starts screaming at me to get the fuck out of his house. I'm bawling and crying and asking him, why is he doing this to me? And he is screaming at the top of his lungs that he hates me and to get the fuck out of his house and that he'll call the cops. He grabs his phone and saying he's calling the cops, and I'm just crying and crying. He screams and asks me, "Did you hear what I said, you stupid fucking dumb blonde?" He would always tell me he hated blonde hair. And so I stand up to leave. I'm hysterical, get in my car, and speed off to drive away, and he jumps in front of my car, immediately saying, I'm sorry, come here, come here." I'm crying, and I stop the car, and he pulls me into the house. I'm nothing but a hyperventilating, crying mess. And I'm having a panic attack and shaking when he starts taking off my pants and saying, "Shh." He sets me down on the end of the bed and starts having sex with me. The entire time I'm crying and mumbling for him to stop, but he keeps saying, "Shh." After he's finished, he pulls my pants back on, and I turn on my side and keep crying. I honestly don't remember if he cuddled me after. Maybe he did. Once again, I'm psychologically damaged and stuck around. I even dyed my hair brunette to please him. We spent Valentine's together. At this point, I knew I had to find a way to get over him. I just didn't know how. He was turned on every time I cried, and he was always mean and insulting to me. So this was the pattern. Friends tried to intervene, and I actually lost a few because I kept going back to him, and they thought I was weak and an idiot. I was. I finally mustered up the strength and told him we should just be friends.
Holy shit. Okay, part 6. This is crazy.
February 26th, 2013. I came over to help him with something. I'm not sure what. My friend Alyssa was having a party, and I wanted to go, and he kept telling me not to leave. I told him I had to go. He was being flirty and cute, and I was conditioned to enjoy the tension and game. But I told him I was going. He asked if I would take a shot with him. Just one before I left. Yes, I know, I should not have even said yes and taken a shot before driving. I am aware. But you have to understand, at this time, drugs were running rampant in this house, and I was so exposed to drug and alcohol abuse that I was just used to it. I said okay and took a shot with him. Instantly, I knew something was wrong. At first, I thought it was shitty vodka. I even asked what vodka it was, since it was the worst taste I ever had. Then I saw his face, and I realized I knew what that bitter taste was. I asked him if he had slipped something in my drink. Insert cute grin with Griffin voice denying it. I asked him a bunch of times, and he denied. But I already knew the answer. I also knew that the people who die from MDMA, Molly, have always been mixing it with alcohol. That both of those together are a deadly mix. That Toby is a drug addict, and that the amount of drugs he put in my drink are far more than I will ever be capable of handling. I started crying and telling him he's going to kill me. Why would he try to hurt me? That he is selfish and that I'm going to die because of him. This somehow gives him a moment of clarity, or maybe it was just the drugs taking effect, but he admits to putting it in my drink. He tells me it was only just a little bit and that it must have been on the glass from when he used it. He then admits fully to doing it. He starts crying as well and admitting he is a sex addict and a drug addict and needs to get help. I'm so fucked up at this point that I honestly don't remember what happened. Did we have sex? Did we only talk? I'm not sure. All I know is at some point he passed out, cuddling me on his beanbag chair, and I'm just staring straight ahead, wide awake with anxiety. I literally feel like I'm being held hostage and kidnapped. I don't know this man. I want to escape, but I'm so fucked up that I can't leave. Once I feel like I can maneuver a car, the next afternoon, I drive home. I really shouldn't have drove, but I needed to escape him. I come home and my roommates are in the kitchen. They would be so mad if they knew I was still talking to Toby after that blatant rape. So I tell them that someone at a bar drugged me. They tell me to go to the hospital and I say I just want to lay down. I go in my bed and just start sobbing. I was fucked up on this drug for 3 days. I regret never going to the hospital. I regret never going to the cops for what he did. I honestly thought about his career ruined, and I didn't want to hurt him because I loved him. How messed up is that?
Oh my fucking God! Part 7.
I knew I was too weak to go to the hospital, but I made sure to text him what he did so I would have evidence. So I would at least have a text proof that he drugged me. So he couldn't turn around and deny it like he always did. Like he denies ever dating me now. What's messed up is the text he gave me before I texted the proof. 'Twas fun. Yeah, fun. I wish I could say I stopped talking to him after that, but we all know that's not true. He said he would change his ways, and I took him back again. March 2nd, 2013, I go in his bathroom and I see a black thong and condom in his trash can. He is in the other room gaming, so I walk in there and grab him by the arm, and he's shocked. But I take him to the bathroom where I have put the items on the floor, and I push his face down towards it. His response, "What? What? Yeah, what so?" I'm livid. I say, "Who the fuck is she?" He tells me, "It doesn't matter. You'll never meet her." I really wanted to destroy and break everything in his house on the way out. But I just grab my stuff and go. Done. Except not, because I'm an idiot and I stay friends. The last time I ever had sex with him is Memorial Day of 2013. This isn't by choice, of course. This is a violent hate fuck after he thinks I'm flirting with Max Landis at his Toby's barbecue party. Then, of course, I find out he was hooking up with another girl from the same party who is also a friend. The list goes on and on. Mid to late 2013, he finally has a relationship with someone else. By this time, they are known as mains in my circle of friends that know the drill. So luckily, I can say I never slept with him after that, but things were still messed up. because he would always try to use me to masturbate. Either do it in front of me or try to grab my hand to do it for him. It's disgusting, and I'm embarrassed, but it's the truth, so whatever. I became just a friend, and I really thought things were looking up. We started doing songs together, and even though I was helping him write them throughout this whole time, but now I was included, and he was actually letting people know that we were friends. Yay. Gag. I won't get into the lack of payment for anything I did, because that's a separate issue. But I knew I was being used. I was just happy to be included. Yay. Gag.
What the fuck is happening? If this is true, Jesus. Okay, part 8. This is the final chapter of this Tumblr post that we had narrated by Mandy. Final chapter. Here we go.
He always strung me along and would wave that carrot of songs or gaming to get me to come back. 2014. He tells me we will perform Depressing Song at Playlist. I'm super happy because we wrote it together and it was our Look How Magic We Are Together song. Once it gets close to playlist time, he starts getting wishy-washy like he always does. I ask him if we are really going to play the song because he never gives me a straight answer, and he starts telling me he only has passes for Seth and Gabe and he doesn't know. Then he tells me he will only be doing stand-up. This is after I've already have my flight and hotel. So now all of a sudden he doesn't have a pass for me that he said he would have. So I decide to go anyways. My amazing friend gets me into playlist and I have a really good time, even though I know the drill of if Toby sees me there, he will ignore me and I have to lie to fans and play along like he's just so awesome. He asks what I'm doing and I text him that I'm hanging with these other YouTubers and he gets mad and jealous because I shortened their channel name and accuses me of acting too cool. I say they're my friends, and that's just what I call them. He then texts a mutual friend and says something along the lines of, April is on her high horse and I'm about to put her down. The day of his performance, I tell other mutual friends that I just know he's going to play our song. She assures me he wouldn't do that. I have Toby energy, and we are super connected. I feel it. I know he is. And he does. And I'm going to admit to the internets that I almost committed suicide. I was in the worst pain I had ever felt in my life. Worse than the cheating, the lying, the physical and mental abuse. I'm not sure why, but to deny me the very thing I created, to perform my song when it was my dream to be up there. That was worse than death. I was on a high balcony of a hotel and the opportunity presented itself. Luckily, I didn't go through with it. I vowed not to talk to him. He didn't get to use me in his new life. I spent all of 2014 getting constant texts from him, some spamming, blaming, and attacking me, some saying he wanted to say sorry. Towards August, I think, I started to respond. I have only seen him a few times since then. I saw him a few months ago in January at a friend's birthday, and though he was nice to me in person, he started flirting with my best friend, and then was trying to text her to entice her to hang out with him. When I text him to stop, because hello, we're BFFs, and she's going to show me. The attacking verbal abuse was back again. He never changes. He's still abusing and damaging women. There are women with stories similar to mine. He's still playing his games of multiple girls at a time. Still asking hot chicks to game with him as a pickup line. I keep hoping maybe he has changed, and I tried not to let the gory details to the women he tricks and fucks over. But I see he hasn't. 2 mains found out about each other just the other day. Why did I tell such extreme detail of the worst parts of my life and about him? Because last night I was working and went to Toys R Us and saw a Tobuscus toy in the aisle. I I started to cry and have a panic attack. I was supposed to be professional, but I couldn't help it. I wanted to run up to the cashier and tell her they are selling a drug addict rapist to children. They are selling a sexual predator and don't even know it. But I know even if I did that, his toys would be on the floor as soon as I left. Because people don't know. Parents don't know how terrible and toxic he is. How he hurts and destroys the best part of you. All they know is his funny voices and his characters. The back of the package called him a hero. I'm sorry, but a hero doesn't disrespect, abuse, rape, and drug women. He is not a hero. He's not a role model. He's a sick, sick man.
Jesus Christ. That's the Tumblr post about Toby Turner, Tobuscus, whatever you want to call him, from April Elf. If this stuff is true, Jesus, this is bad. I don't even know what to say. Guys, if you love Drama Alert, make sure you slap a like on it. Drama Alert Nation, now over 1,290,000 subscribers. What the